Hey everybody, it is your old pal SimplySuperDave coming at you on a wonderful hump day, which is Wednesday of every week, because it is that day of the week we get over that hump and get closer to Friday and the weekend. It is a rainy day here in the great state of Louisiana. That's right, that's where I broadcast from, is from the boot state of the United States. The crazy United States on this crazy planet spinning out of control in this crazy universe that we call life. And what we try to do here on the podcast is figure out ways to aptly deal with things and stay super doing it. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that thunder. But it is rolling like a Garth Brooks country hit. Oh, man, I love the 90s. Even country music in the 90s was great, okay? The 90s, I believe, was the last great, iconic decade. Everything else since then has been digital. And as a movie fan, I tend to tell people that I have two types of classifications when it comes to movies. You have pre-CGI era, and you have, everything since then. So basically around 1993 is the year that I like to landmark with the CGI effect, even though special effects have been around for a very long time, since film has basically been invented. But Star Wars really transcended that in the late 70s. The 80s was a lot of really bad special effects in movies, and then you got to the 90s. The 90s had Jurassic Park, bringing dinosaurs to life in movies today where they weren't hokey, but they were pretty believable. I remember the first night I went to the premiere. Actually, I didn't go to the premiere. I didn't go on a Friday night. I was actually working at a video store, Blockbuster Video back in the day, and I had a girlfriend that worked at the movie theater across the street from me in town, at the great AMC Theater. Well, anyway, that's right. We went to a employee showing of Jurassic Park, which was after the theater closes Thursday night. So you're looking around 1 o'clock in the morning, watching a movie until about 3, and then going to school Friday morning. Yeah, this is way back in my day, okay? But I graduated high school in 1993. What a wonderful year for the movies that year. It really was. Steven Spielberg was on top of his game as he won the Best Director Oscar for Schindler's List, and then had Oscars for visual effects and different things from Jurassic Park. I mean, he was just a boss back in the day. But Jurassic Park introduced a new CGI that was so believable that every movie has adapted to that, even to the most recent comedies you watch. Not even CGI isn't even restricted to sci-fi or an action film. It is across the board. I don't care what it is. Even the movie Monster-in-Law, for example, had a lot of CGI touch-up effects in it, to the point where they removed things like, underarm pit stains in a shirt and things like that, so Jane Fonda and Jennifer Lopez looked as fresh and clean in every scene. And that is the manipulation that Hollywood has adapted to entertain us. Now, what do they do with that technology? It works its way into real life, especially with a society that is in a digital age, an age where a lot of information and things that you see aren't in the real life that you live, but more through this little portal or apple of knowledge that you have here in your hand. Okay, I don't care if you're Samsung or whatever phone it is. It's an apple of knowledge. It's a metaphor. It doesn't matter if you have an Apple iPhone or not. If you have a phone, a cell phone that's connected to the mighty beast of the internet, then you have all access to all knowledge. You're basically in the Garden of Eden. Are you going to eat from the apple? Well, surely we all are, or you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. That's for sure. Just the irony that, just to show you that no matter who you are in this world, if you might have mistakenly already taken a bite of the forbidden fruit. The Pandora's box is open. We got a lot coming towards us. In the 90s was that last generation where movies were made before CGI, and then the dependency on the digital age to take care of the rest of the artistic visions of a director or the actors themselves in movies, to the point where we don't know what is real and what is not. And that even applies into the real world today, because again, you're mostly influenced through what you see through a filter, than you would in real life. But what we're seeing are other people's real lives projected out there for everybody else to see. It's a time where that wouldn't have happened 20 years ago. Could you imagine going to work one day, leaving your place, wherever you live, and not having any phone contact until you got back to that place after work and everything? Just imagine that. If you wanted to make a phone call while you were out and about, you would use the work phone. I used to remember you used to get written up at work if you got personal phone calls at work too many times. That's how big of a deal business used to be. Very demand in particular. Now they're begging for people and signing bonuses and can put up with whatever schedule they want to work. But people don't want to work these days. And I kind of get it. When you look at when you really find the essence of what life is all about, it's not about your fucking job. It's not about your fucking khakis. It's not about the money in your bank account. Sound familiar to a movie reference we made in the last podcast, but Fight Club is my number 2 top film of all time. That generation has taken hold, and it realizes that corporations are bad, and they have been for a very long time. So let's get back to this information age, what we're going through, what influences our decisions, and why maybe we can't have conversations and rather argue with people or dismiss them altogether when, honestly, down the road, we're going to need each other, right? I mean, that is what this country is all about, is unity. So we need to come together. But we have a news resource that uses Hollywood effects and styles and manipulative ways to narrate a story that always catches us off attention from what we should be paying attention to. The news organizations do not uphold their oath that they had more than 50 years ago. The one thing that got JFK assassinated was the fact that he wouldn't allow news organizations to be bought out. That didn't happen until after JFK's assassination. After his assassination, news organizations were bought up by corporations and companies, thus polluting the very source of our information about our politics and the way things work in this country. Because corporations own the politicians. And if they also own the media, that means corporations basically are been brainwashing us for about 50 plus years. And it's pretty apparent that it's been working. But the internet opened an avenue for people like me who wouldn't go against the narrative, do critical thinking, even if I'm wrong about things, just to open up the door of conversation for everybody else. The best idea will present itself. And I'm not a person who thinks my idea must be the one that must be taken. I'm open to any good ideas for our society. And I believe that our leaders aren't the ones that are being elected into office as career politicians. I believe our leaders is somebody that will rise from living in life like a normal person, earning everything that they've gotten, and understanding what life is all about. We're missing direction, and our compass in this country is broken. And even if it was working correctly, I think we have a bunch of people that don't know how to read it properly. Or maybe they do. Maybe they're smarter than I think. And they're just purposely doing what they're doing, which makes things even more scarier, to be the least. I'd rather deal with a dumb idiot than a smart criminal. They're always one step ahead of you, and they plan to be caught. But they have ways out of it. It's not so simple, not so black and white, the world that we live in, the political world in this country, more or less, and how it deeply affects everybody. And surprisingly enough, I remember in my 20s how I wished politics was more important, to people. But this was not what I was talking about. This is out of control. This is watching people blindly believe in parties that they have no idea what they're talking about. They just regurgitate the very things they hear them say and make the very points, but they don't put no deep thought into why maybe it doesn't work. You got to have a backup plan for when things don't go your way. And this country doesn't seem to have a backup plan right now. It seems to be grasping for air and trying to compete with other countries. So what are we trying to stay super about tonight, folks? Well, here it is. You Gen Xers out there and generations past that, you baby boomers that might be listening as well, you are our last surviving hope to put a little sanity into things. I believe in the millennials and the Generation Z. I would have to. And that's my future as well, right? I have a lot of high hope for them. But Generation X, you have remained silent for so long. And you are the last generation to experience life before the digital age. You understand there's a certain humanity that's being lost in this transition. Ooh, that lightning bolt was rather close. See how close that was. About 5 miles, maybe. We're going to hear a little thunder here in a second. Yeah, baby. I love Mother Nature. That is energy happening right there before your very eyes, folks. If you want evidence of what I call God, then it was it right there. That flash of bolt of unmeasurable energy. Because it varies in each strike. You never know how much energy comes down in those things. But wow. 1.21 gigawatts. Oh, yes. Back to the Future reference, movie reference of the night. Definitely recommend that. If you've never seen the Back to the Future trilogy, you are missing out on life. God will not allow you to pass the pearly gates of heaven if you have not seen the Back to the Future trilogy. It is a core essence of life, okay? It's just that simple. And that is what staying super is. Staying positive, even talking about some of the most ominous moments that are coming towards us. And they are. Life is just that. It's unplanned things that happen that either we can let either break us or make us. And what I mean by that is that how can failure make you? Because you learn from failure. When tragedy affects you, you can become better from it. Scarred forever? Yes. Never forgetful? Yes. But that's the price you pay because of what you put into what you lose. When you lose something that you love, regardless if it's a pet or a human, I don't care. Whatever affects, if you have a deep meaning in your heart for that living thing, and it's taken from you, that pain that you suffer and feel, embrace it just as much as the love that you had for that living thing. That energy that you transferred between it. Just by touching, by being within its range. Energy flows through us, folks. If we held hands and you grabbed an electric fence, I would be electrified as well. Because it would travel through you to me. We maintain a certain amount of energy, and when it's higher, we feel it. Our body pumps. When there's not enough of it, our body feels it. We can't function. When you find that perfect wavelength that you work on, you try to strive to stay on it, to keep yourself motivated. I hope everybody has gotten through this week so far on a high note. And if you're not feeling that energy, rest it up. Analyze things. Find what's not working for you. Change it up a little bit. Have a coffee. I don't know. But Hump Day is a great day of the week because we are closer to Friday. And we're also closer to episode 100, where we're going to be ending the podcast for a little while and then picking up maybe and doing a second series. Maybe, whatever. Or maybe leave it at that. I'm not sure about that. That's something that I'm balancing on my mind. Don't forget, folks, hit me up on our social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. It doesn't matter. You know the name. It's SimplySuperDave. So be sure to give me a follow on those platforms. Hit me up. Give me some topics. 4 more episodes left. I don't mind spending one of them on a topic that you might want to hear my viewpoint on. Or maybe something to dig into a little bit. I don't know. That's really up to you guys. I do appreciate everybody that listens. I love you all to death. You mean a lot to me. Doing the podcast means a lot to me personally. To know that there are a few people out there that do listen. That warms a place in my heart. Had one listener actually speak about a episode recently and how that topic related to their day, and it kind of helped them out a little bit. That alone right there made all 100 episodes worth it. And one of the few benefits of doing the podcast is knowing that you can reach out and make a difference just with a few words of kindness or deep thought to inspire somebody else to find their own voice and their deep thoughts, their inspiration for their day to move on, to make their bubble brighter, full of energy, full of hope, love, and laughter, and not hate and fear and doubt. That's right, folks. Love and laughter conquers hate and fear. So go be a conqueror, enjoy your Thursday, and don't become a victim.